we're back with another episode.
This episode of The Face Off with Fleming and Fowler is sponsored by myapothecary.com. My Apothecary is the premier online destination for hemp-derived CBD that will help you curate a wealthy lifestyle. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed during the Face Off with Fleming and Fowler podcast series are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent any specific employer, organization, committee, or other group or individual. The primary purpose of this podcast series is to educate and inform. This podcast series does not constitute medical or other professional advice or services.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Face Off with Fleming and Fowler. Fowler and Fleming. We should really workshop the name. I think it should be Fowler and Fleming now.
Well, I only did Fleming first because FL and FO. It was alphabetically.
Yeah, but I'm older, so I should.
Really?
Yeah.
What year were you born again?
1760.
Wow, you're still alive? Mm-hmm. That means you're a demon. Get out of my house. All right, y'all. So this episode is going to be a little heavy. I'll just give you that fair warning.
What's new?
No, I think we have to just be socially conscious. There's a lot of stuff that happened. We have a lot of stuff to unpack from last week, from our previous episode to today. So yeah, it's going to be a bit heavy. We do have a special guest that we're going to have on air talking to us. This is actually a police officer. Obviously for privacy purposes, we will not reveal their identity, where they work, what state they're in, all that kind of stuff, what agency they work for. We're not going to do any of that just for privacy purposes. But this is an actual active duty police officer who we will be discussing some things with, especially in the lieu of a lot of different things that have happened this past week. So first of all,
no, that's not a clue. Their name isn't Lou.
No, it's Rachel McGillicuddy.
Oh, I love the McGillicuddy.
Officer Rachel McGillicuddy is going to join us a little later on. So anyway, how was your week this past week?
Oh, I don't think it was bad or good. It was just a week, you know?
Do you feel very respectful?
Oh, God. How could I? Oh, my. Y'all. The restraint I show in my place of work on a daily basis is out of this world. Mm-hmm. I, along with all my coworkers this week, had to go to a respectfulness in the workplace training.
Because apparently we don't get along and we didn't know about it.
Yeah. And here's the fun thing about COVID. Social distancing.
Yeah.
So they have to break up our team into these little groups, right? And it was first of all, we didn't know the meeting was happening, the training rather. No one knew what it was or what was happening. And we got sorted into these random groups. And I didn't think there were any like standout stars in my group. I wasn't super pumped going in there. Yeah. I was like, it's just going to be one of those things. And man, oh man.
Did they surprise you?
Out of pocket, the people in this room. Everyone was just at this poor fucking HR lady who just came with her PowerPoint and was like, let's talk about respectfulness in the workplace. I have all these scenarios that your supervisors have sent to me about things going on in your specific department, and we're going to put them up on the board. Tell me if they're disrespectful. And everything she said, you would have thought we were in high school and like this was the one teacher everyone hated. Because everything this bitch said, everyone was like, no, actually we don't feel that way.
I felt so bad for her. I really did. I felt bad for her because I felt like she was like, we're going to do this. We're going to be ready. It's going to be awesome. And then she came in and was like, so do you guys know why you're here? We're like, no, we just got a mandatory email.
She was like,
she's like, so nobody knows why they're here. No, we don't. We really don't know why we're here. And she's like, oh, okay, we're going to go with some examples of disrespectfulness in the workplace. We're like, oh, we got a lot of those.
Just to give you a feel of what it was like, I'm going to give a very random example. Something that naturally anyone you asked would say, this is very disrespectful. Right. Like, cussing out your coworker in the office, right? Yes. Over disagreement. That would be the scenario on the board. And she'd be like, do y'all think this is disrespectful? And someone would raise their hand and be like, I actually think that communication is pretty subjective and that sometimes cussing someone out is your way of communicating.
Right.
And it may not be appropriate in all situations, but if that's the way you feel like communicating at that time, then that's what's appropriate and it's not disrespectful. Like shit like that, where you, in a normal circumstance, you'd be like, 100% this is disrespectful. You should not be yelling at anyone or cussing them out. But everyone was just like, no. Actually, that can be appropriate. Yeah. And I felt so bad for this lady, but also I didn't, because that was like, why the fuck are we here? We're not in high school.
I just felt like that training was the most disrespectful training.
How passive aggressive are you that you don't tell your entire department why they're in a fucking training, and then you walk into the training and they're like, so y'all are disrespectful as shit, and we have to have a training about it.
But then in my session, because of course Alyssa and I did not go together.
Of course they separated the black people.
Right. And so Alyssa and I are sitting there. Alyssa and I are not sitting there. One of my other coworkers and I are sitting there, and the lady says, so give me an idea. Tell me what the environment is like in your department. And so it was crickets, and all of a sudden I just loudly said, hostile. Extremely hostile. And she's like, okay, like from your peers? And I said, no, we all get along perfectly fine. Like, we don't have any issues with each other. I feel like if we have conflict, we are able to resolve it. There's no knockout, drag out, anything. We just come to work, do our job, and leave. I said, but from the leadership, absolutely, it's hostile.
From the people who called this meeting and aren't even fucking here.
I was like, what did they tell you? Well, we're going to do this training for the whole hospital.
Bullshit.
And then you ask different people, hey, are y'all going to respectful training? They're like, what is that?
They said, we heard y'all, specifically your department, had respectful training.
That rehab, y'all got a big issue with respect over there. Like, who told you that? That's
I am disrespected daily in the hospital.
Oh, absolutely.
I was telling another coworker, I was like, listen, when we're on the floor, we are all so disrespected by patients, by nurses, by other staff who don't give a fuck about our job or what we do, right? When I come into the office, and when you're out on the floor, you have to be so positive and cheery and upbeat and professional. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. So when I get into the office, I need to just chill out for a second. Yeah. And if I let my guard down and something seems disrespectful to you because I just like, my patience is very short, I'm very tired, or I don't have that wall of perk up. Yeah. That's on you.
First of all, it's 7:00 in the morning. I don't want to be here. Truly. I genuinely don't want to be here.
And then when I'm back in the office, it's my lunch, so don't fucking come at me. Because this is my time. And then after my lunch, I'm tired, I want to go home. So also don't come to me because this is my fucking time.
Just don't talk to me for the whole day. If I address you, perfectly fine. But when I'm in my bubble, just leave me alone.
You know what? You can talk to me when I'm on the floor.
Actually, no.
If you can find me.
Because I'm going to be busy seeing patients.
Exactly.
So no.
And good luck fucking catching me.
If we're not co-treating, don't talk to me, period.
So it was very... Mr. Duval, all junior girls to the gymnasium immediately.
Yeah, that was very interesting. That was the highlight, I think, of the week, this past week at work. It was, other than Alyssa seeing us, 600-pounder patient.
Yo, oh my God, that'll be rehab.
I was gonna say, you want to say that for the rehab corner?
Are we doing rehab corner?
It depends on how much. It just depends on how much, how long this episode is going to be. It's probably going to be a long one, I'm quite sure, but we'll see. But yeah.
If not, I'll save my 600-pound life for the next episode.
She got a chance to meet Dr. Now.
Y'all, my job.
We're in the wrong profession.
It's just wild.
We're just in the wrong profession. PT and OT is not where it's at. Yeah. It's just not. It's definitely not. We were tricked. We were bamboozled. And I'm pissed at I'm pissed at the director of my former PT school. And I'm just going to call his name, Dr. Eric J. Turan. I am pissed at you because you tricked me, sir.
This is really my own fault. My mom told me to be an OT because my brother went to OT. He was in peds. I wanted to do peds because that's just like chill, fun.
Wait, your brother?
Yeah, my brother was in OT. Was in OT.
Oh, I was like, wait a minute.
He was receiving OT services.
Thank you. I'm like, your brother's younger than you. You got another brother I didn't know about? I feel like your life is a lie. Oh my gosh.
The devil is a lie.
Oh gosh.
My brother was receiving OT.
Gotcha.
My mom saw the OT and what they did. She's like, you'd probably be good at that shit. Yeah. It seems like all high voices and cartoon characters. Yeah. That's all you're good at. I said dope. Actually, I didn't say dope. I said, don't tell me what to do. Then when I was graduating college,
I still did your mother
100%. And then when I was graduating college, I said, "Oh shit, don't have a career path. Now I'll do it." Yeah. And then I ended up doing acute with adults, and that was my own fault. So yeah. I'm no one to blame but myself.
I just didn't get the grades to go to med school. That's it. That's the story.
I just thought about like the fact that you have to go to med school and then do a residency, and then the fact that if you're on call, you can't sleep, and sleep was a big thing for me. And
see, I was looking at the money.
Yeah, no, that's great.
I was like, I can pay to sleep later, but no. This is definitely a trap. Well, all right. Since this is gonna be a very long episode, let's go ahead and just get right on into it.
Let's just fucking.
We just gonna hold. We're gonna hold on to God's unchanging hand. We're gonna build our hopes on things eternal. Hold to God's unchanging hand. Mm-hmm. All right. So, first in the news, the defense for the Derek Chauvin murder case, the murder of George Floyd. They actually, the defense rested on Friday, and the trial is wrapping up. They're going to deliver a verdict on this upcoming Tuesday, actually, when this episode airs. Minnesota, the area that this is taking place, they have already kind of pre-scheduled going back to virtual classes from Wednesday until Friday in anticipation of the verdict. They're just trying to prepare.
Be rowdy.
Yeah, I just pray that true justice really prevails. Like the kind of justice that white people get all the time. I hope that prevails for George Floyd in this particular situation.
The kind of justice where you can murder someone and it's caught on camera, but you still get a full trial.
Well, no, not that kind of justice. I want you to rot in jail. Like for them to cart you off. You don't have time to go home and pack and move to Mexico, and then they lose you in the system. No. You don't have time to seek asylum nowhere else. Like I hope they take your ass to jail like immediately.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Exactly. So there were a lot of different witnesses that were on the stand this past week. Obviously,
Can I get a witness?
They were just closing up. Even the defense tried to pull in some bullshit about, oh, well, his head was right next to the exhaust, so he died of carbon monoxide poisoning. And then the prosecution.
I know that your job as the defense is just to be like, well, there is a 1 in a million chance that it could have been this and not him, and we have to look at it. Like, I get it, and you're doing your job very well, but holy fucking shit.
Yeah, I was like, that was definitely a Hail Mary. And so then the prosecution came back and countered and was like, okay, so let's go with your theory about carbon monoxide. So if I would have put my fucking knee on your neck, bitch, would the carbon monoxide still be there? And he's just like, no. I was just like, you're ruining your own case.
And the prosecution rests.
Exactly. They were like, no further questions, Your Honor. Go ahead and clock out for me. So yeah,
it's a good try.
I have been trying so hard not to watch this trial, but this trial is so important I just don't want to be disappointed like I was with the Trayvon Martin trial. And I watched that thing religiously. And even when his friend came on there and he was like, why didn't you call the police? She was like, because the police call you. You ever seen First 48? I was like, oh, damn it, we losing. Oh, Jesus. I was just like, sweetie, this is not the First 48. But to her defense, you don't have experience with stuff like this. Nobody does. You're not supposed to, but like I said, I'm just praying that this situation is rectified and this man is put in jail and he is found guilty on all charges. And not only that he is found guilty, but that they literally deliver the fullest extent of consequence to him because of this particular issue. So we'll see what happens. People in Minnesota, there's been some riots and stuff that have been going on because also too in Minnesota, there was popping off up there. Just oh my God,
home of the Timberwolves. Who'd have known?
I mean, it's a shame that in the middle of this trial of a white police officer killing a black unarmed man, on the heels of that, here comes another police shooting of a white female police officer mistaking her taser for her gun for her taser. And this past week, obviously, we already know Daunte Wright, who's a 19-year-old young man who was shot senselessly by a white police officer. Her name is it Kim Potter? Kim Potts?
Impossible.
I hate you.
She'd never.
Kim Porter, whatever her name is. It's Kim Potts.
Kim Porter?
It's definitely not Kim Porter.
Her name's Kim Porter.
It's Kim Potter. And so because I have to try to bring some lightness to this because this is a very dark episode. She basically, Daunte Wright was pulled over. They ran his tags. They saw that he had a warrant for his arrest. What they actually ended up finding out was that the reason why he had a warrant for his arrest is because they sent his court documentation to the wrong address. So he never got it. So that's why he never showed up at court. Anyway, beside the point, they stopped him. They pulled him out of the car. They're like, hey, you got a warrant for your arrest. He was like, bitch, I ain't going to jail. He tries to jump back in his car. He's unarmed at this point, and he jumps back in the car. The male police officer was the one who, in the video, who apprehended him and it was getting ready to put the handcuffs on. Kim Potter decides, oh, let me jump in because I'm the 26-year vet, so I can just, tase him real quick. And she says the 3 words, taser, 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 and she just, bop, and was like, oh shit, I shot him. First of all, let me just say this. I've shot a taser before, okay? With the taser, you have to keep your hand on the fucking trigger. You don't just pull once and that's it. Maybe that was just a taser that I had. Maybe the ones for the police are very different. But the fact that these police officers are trained to have your taser in your non-dominant hand, or on your non-dominant side, and then have your gun on your dominant side, you can say that was accidental all day. That's not accidental. And we're going to speak to our expert who we're going to, bring in the show a little bit later.
Our expert witness.
Yes. Officer Rachel McGillicuddy.
Officer Kim Possible.
Yes. We're going to speak to her a little later on in the show. But
my thing is, like, it could have been an accident, but if you shoot someone and kill them, I feel like there should still be consequences, ?
Absolutely. Period. Not ? Period. Because if a doctor kills a patient mistakenly, right, accidentally, even if the risks were extremely low, if a nurse administers the wrong medication to a patient, if you go to a restaurant and they undercook your chicken, right, and you get sick, the reality is that you are still held liable. So whatever the chef who cooked that chicken, they're most likely going to lose their job, right? That doctor or that nurse that administered the wrong medication or the wrong intervention, they're going to, the nurses will probably lose their job. The doctor is going to be protected, unfortunately, but the nurse may lose their job or may be, transferred to a different department, or that has to be reported to their board on their license. Same thing with us. If we kill somebody, we're going to be held accountable for doing something, to our patients. And so why is it that, again, the rest of the world is held to this such high standard of accountability, and police officers who have the actual guns in their hands are not held to that same standard? Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. And it is so traumatic, y'all. For those of you that are not Black who listen to this podcast,
all 4 of you. Yes.
They're all Alyssa's friends. Ma'am, ASMR?
My bad. I have to drink. I'm depressed.
Yeah. It's just, it's so traumatic seeing people being killed, and then people will say, well, why didn't you just comply? Well, that's what Philando Castile did, and he still got shot in front of his wife and child.
Here's the thing. Whether it's right or not, all you're seeing in the media is these portrayals of police officers that they are killing unarmed people, Black people, and that they're getting away with it, right?
Yeah.
Even though if that's not the truth, or it's a mixed version of the truth, whatever, that's all you're being shown through media.
Yeah.
So the fact that I get pulled over by cops, I'm Black, they're telling me I have a warrant out for my arrest, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I would like to say that I would comply. I don't fucking know what I would do.
I gotta go to work tomorrow. You gonna tell me I gotta go to jail? I don't get paid till Friday.
Also, fuck no. I watch the news. I know what the fuck's going on. I'm gonna try to get out of here.
Exactly. I think that's a real fight or flight response, though. Yeah. I think that's a normal.
Right. I'm saying there's a lot of shit going on in the fucking, what do they call it?
In the world?
Yeah. The Matrix and the Matrix that we're in the consciousness.
The simulation that we're in.
So I don't think anyone can predict how, especially a person of color, how they react in that situation. And I know you're taught all these things by your parents and by older people, how to interact with cops because of this kind of thing, but you just don't know.
And even what was interesting was, first of all, I love how certain TV shows nowadays are like really keeping up with the times. Like I was watching Grey's Anatomy last Thursday, and it was the episode where it was a new episode, and Maggie's fiance was moving from wherever he was to Seattle. Of course, he's this Black surgeon or Black cardiologist, and he's driving in a Range Rover down to Seattle. And then all of a sudden he gets stopped by these 2 white cops, and Maggie's like, stay on the phone, keep me on the phone, do like record if you can, but do not turn the phone off. So the officer comes up to him, and he has his license and registration, and he's like, license and registration. So he's like, can you explain to me why? Like he gives it to him, but he's like, can you explain to me why you pulled me over? And then you hear Maggie on the phone like, well, what's going on now? I can't hear you. And so then the cop is like, turn your phone off. And so, of course, he turns it off because he's like, I don't want to make it a hostile situation. So let me just go ahead and turn the phone off. And she's trying to reach him for for a few minutes and all that kind of stuff. And then finally she gets a hold of him like after like an hour, and she's already in surgery or whatever. And they end up illegally searching his car, pulling all his shit out of his car. And he was so shaken up because you could tell that he had never experienced that. But having, this Black educated man who's just in a nice car, just trying to move, in the middle of a fucking pandemic. And all of a sudden he stopped and, has to go through this shit. And it's like, even though you have the right to record police officers, in that moment, it's like, do I choose my ego over just getting home safely? And even if I turn this off, I could still very well die. I don't know what's going to happen. And
it sucks that, like, I'm sure statistically there are thousands of police stops, right? And, a very small percentage end up the way these have been ending up. But the fact that any of them end up this way,
shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't happen at all.
Yeah. I just don't. Here's my thing. I've been stopped in traffic a few times, not a whole lot.
Oh shit.
But even because here's the thing, in South Florida, my mom used to work for a police department.
So and she was just like, I'm gonna call my mama.
No, definitely not, because I was in a different city than when she worked. But at the same time, they kind of cross paths at times. So this one particular day, I think I was home from college and I was in undergrad and I was driving my mom's car, and she has this particular police lanyard, right? This employee lanyard that only the employees have. And so because it was dangling on her rearview mirror, I got stopped like a couple blocks from the house. And so this police officer, he stops me. He's like, ma'am, did you realize you were speeding? I was like, yes.
I sure did, motherfucker.
I did. And so he was like, do you work for the police department? And I was like, no, my mom does. Because he saw the lanyard. And so he's like, all right, just slow down. So that level of privilege in my brain was like, okay, the next time I have to encounter a police officer, it may be similar. Obviously not, because when I went to college, it was a totally different situation. But it was not hostile to that degree. I've been in hostile situations where I've gotten pulled over and the police was very hostile to myself and my best friend, and literally had his hand on his gun and was like, if you do not sign this ticket, I will arrest you. And I was not the driver, and I was like, sir, why are you yelling? But again, when you're in these little hick towns, especially in Georgia, you around Tifton and shit, you don't play with these cops. You fucking do what the hell they say, or your ass is gonna end up in as a hashtag. Okay, yeah. You just comply and just do what you do.
See, so we grew up around one of my friends growing up. Her dad was a cop, and we've always been around cops, and I've always been very comfortable around police officers. I also have a white mother, so.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She made me very comfortable around cops, because why would we not be comfortable? Yeah. Anyway, I like every cop interaction I've had, I've been very comfortable around cops, because I'm like, this is just your job, sir.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want me to do. We're going to have a good time. I know you don't want to do that. Obviously, you don't want to pull me over. I don't want to be pulled over. We're just going to chat it out. We'll be fine.
You have the gift of gab.
I have the gift of gab, but also I think, I don't know, speak for everybody, but San Antonio is a weird city that way. Like, the population is flipped. It's a huge Hispanic population. We have a lot of Mexican cops. They're all usually chill for the most part.
I can agree with you on that, because I don't feel a sense of like, because this city is not heavily African American, I don't feel nervous to a degree when encountering police officers, even if I know that I'm going faster than I should be and I see the cop moving, I'm like, shit, let me get over. I don't feel that my butt doesn't tucker as much as it did when I was in South Florida.
It's a different vibe. And like, there's little places here like Balcones Heights, Alamo Heights, Castle Hills, where you do have these white cops who are pieces of shit, and they will pull you over, and they're assholes about it.
Very true.
But in the city of San Antonio, for the most part, if you get pulled over by a cop, it's just a chill ass interaction. I know that there's some crazy things that happen.
Yeah.
So I go to Austin, or I go to Houston, or I go to any of the other places. I'm like, what the hell is this? I don't like this. I miss my little cops who would pull you over and they'd be like, get the fuck home.
Yeah.
What are you doing out? Why are you here? Get the fuck home.
Right. Yeah. I just, it's just unfortunate because people make dumbass comments like, well, just comply. He was not a good person. Listen, I don't care if I'm a shit person. I don't care if this man raped 57 women and chopped off the necks of 37 and a half babies. He does. I would care about that. He deserves to die. Not at that moment, right? He still deserves due process.
That is the whole part of being an American.
That's supposed to be the judicial system. I have
the right to bear arms, freedom of religion, and the right to get my ass taken to court and sat through a fucking bullshit trial, even if I did some whack ass shit.
Even if I'm holding a dead baby in my hand, I am innocent until proven guilty.
Because there's a 1% chance that I didn't do it, and I deserve to have my fucking case pled in a court of my peers.
I was hypnotized and forced to kill all these kids.
I was abducted by aliens. They killed this kid, and it's just in my hands. Tell me I'm wrong.
Exactly. I'm really in a place as an African American woman. I literally just called into work and this past week. And I just needed a day. I just needed a day because I don't really feel like people at work really understand what African American people go through on a daily basis and what we think about and what goes through our brains. And when we have to see things like this on TV, where this young man who was 19 years old with a baby, and now his child has to grow up without a father. And that's a constant that's a constant thing on social media. And then you come to work and you talking about your ugly ass kids. You talking about your stupid ass cat. Fuck you, your kids, and your cat. I don't care.
That's why I'm so nice to black people at the hospital.
But you're black, but you live a white life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's so annoying. At times I'm just really speechless, and it's like I'm so enraged sometimes, and I just have to just be quiet because I don't want to talk. I don't want to deal with anything. I don't want to see you people. I don't. Yeah. It's horrible that we're living in a time like this. But then in the same week, this white guy at, I think it was the Menards grocery store or some shit. He went there, didn't want to put on a mask, and they called the police on him. The police was like, get out of the car, blah, blah, blah. He refused to get out of his pickup truck. A white man, the one police officer steps on his running board to try to take the keys out of the car or whatever he was doing, hanging on the side of this man's fucking car. And this man first of all, he hits a police cruiser, pulls the fuck off with the police officer hanging on the side of the fucking truck. And you know where this man is right now? He's in jail.
Oh, in jail.
They probably took him to Burger King before they took him to jail.
Well, he was hungry.
Meanwhile, Daunte Wright tried to go back in his car to flee, right? Okay? And you accidentally shoot and kill him. But you have 5 or 7 police officers that I counted in that video. One of the police officers behind the goddamn truck trying to load his fucking gun like this is his first day on the job. And I'm just looking like, why is it that white officers can police white people so easy, and when it comes to black people, y'all aim to kill? We are fucking target practice for you. It's fucking disgusting. Then off the backs of the Daunte Wright situation, which is still going on, and by the way, the police officer, she resigned, and I hope that she is charged. She has been charged with manslaughter, and the coroner actually, the medical examiner's office did rule his death as a homicide. And off the backs of that, so even this week, the second lieutenant in the military, who was obviously dressed in his military garb, was in his truck at the gas station, has his hands out of the fucking car, and the police officer's just like, open the door, get the fuck out of the car right now, goddamn. He's like, listen, can we just talk? Calm down. Got, pepper sprayed him and everything, and now he's fired. And I'm just like, this man is in fucking uniform. He's an armed serviceman, but because he's black, fuck his service to the whole country, protecting your fucking rights to even be a police officer right now. And it's just,
think of every cop show, movie, anything you've watched. I feel like black people are just portrayed as violent and aggressive, and that shit just when you grow up with something like that, it just creeps into every part of your being, right? And then you become this police officer, and that's all you know. I'm not saying they should do it. I blame the media. And I think we need more white villains on TV. That's what I'd like to see.
I blame their dumbass parents.
That's true.
I blame your bitch ass DNA. That's what I blame. Because I don't care how much you see in social media about a group of people. For example, the way that I was raised that homosexuality is a sin, right? Mm-hmm. Do I personally believe that now as an adult? No, I do not. I have plenty of people who are a part of the LGBTQ plus community that I love. But even with regard to that, you as an adult cannot, even if you've seen things in social media, or you've seen things where, you see 2 men kissing or 2 women kissing, making out, blah, blah, blah. And you're
gross.
Like, oh my God, that's so gross, because I was taught this is a sin. And then when you grow up and you mature and you learn, first of all, your religion for yourself, you learn God for yourself, you learn how to read the scripture for yourself. If your chosen religion is Christianity.
If you're a chosen person and you live under the blood of Christ, we do.
If you learn how to read Jesus's Bible correctly, and interpret it for yourself versus just letting other people you learn that there is nothing wrong with love, no matter where it's coming from, right? Unless you're a fucking pedophile, and then you deserve to burn in hell.
That's not the love we want.
we don't fuck with pedophilia over here.
That's manipulation.
Exactly.
That's not love.
But my thing is, even in these situations where your profession is being vilified, why continue to perpetuate this narrative and continue to be vilified by exemplifying the behaviors that we are vilifying.
It's very well worded.
Like, I just don't understand why that's not a general concept. You cannot be afraid of the people that you fucking police. Here's what I want to go back to. I remember back in the day, there was police officers that lived in the neighborhoods that they were policing, right?
Yes.
So they knew little Ray Ray had a little mind issue, okay? They knew little Man got an anger issue, but they knew how to de-escalate situations because they saw something more in Ray Ray and in Man. They just knew Miss Gertrude ain't had no money to put Ray Ray on his meds. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? So that's when mental health crises are happening, or any type of situation happening. You have somebody who's in the community who's a great person. You just shoot to kill. What the fuck is going on here? Get on your fucking knees, bitch. Like, what? I don't understand. I don't understand it. Anyway. As y'all can see the way we're talking, I'm so like burnt out from just all of this shit. Just
American life.
I fucking hate this.
It's not even American life. It's every racism.
It's not.
Everywhere.
It definitely is. But also to just kind of piggybacking off that, even with regards to
stop piggybacking.
We have no choice. It's just so much that happened this week, so we got to unpack it. And this is why even too, when we get ready to talk to our special guest, Officer Kim Possible, is that what we said?
Yeah.
We're gonna call her. Okay. In the news, the head of the police union in Minnesota, first of all, the head of Minnesota's largest police union believes that actually Daunte Wright caused his own death. And he said, and I quote, this is going to be a popular, I'm going to say it in kind of like I think he's going to say it. He's a fat white guy. So I'm going to say it in like I think he's going to say it.
Give me your best fat white voice.
So, quote,
it smells like bologna. I can already
This is going to be an unpopular statement, okay? Daunte Wright, he would have just complied. You know, he was told he was under arrest, okay? They were arresting him on a warrant for weapons, okay? And that's what led to his killing. That's definitely how he sounded.
I think the bullet shot by the police officer led to the killing.
Here's the thing. Even if you're actively robbing somebody, well, okay, I won't use that example. I won't use that example.
Even if you are belligerently murdering someone.
Yeah, no, if you're belligerently murdering someone, then yeah, all bets are out. But if you are at a routine traffic stop for a warrant, if this young man decided to run away, guess what you have? His tag number. You have his address. Well, clearly not because you sent the wrong information. But anyway.
What happened to shooting the tires out?
That's what I'm saying. Shoot the tires out. Shoot the engines. Where the spikes? They do this in the movies all the goddamn time.
Where were the fucking spikes?
Where were the fucking spikes? You just like taser. Bop, 45. What the fuck? Also, lady,
did she take? Where was she shooting the taser in his chest?
She shot one time, and that one shot killed him. But what the more sick part about it is that this lady, Kim Potter, you are a fucking 26-year veteran on the force. Not only that, bitch, you are responsible for training other fucking officers. I don't understand how, like, ma'am, what? Girl, I can't. I just got mad all over again, Jesus. I really got mad all over again.
We're living in a simulation. Just and
she's just like, oh shit, I just shot him. And the police officer was like, huh? She wasn't even the first one on the scene. That's the sick part about it.
Oh my God.
But you had to just jump your little white ass over there. You fucking
Don't
bitch.
Be a hero, Kim.
Stupid ass bitch. Anyway, so also in the news.
My Lord.
Also in the news. So you know what happened with that in South Carolina. In Columbia, South Carolina. There was a 42-year-old piece of shit named Jonathan Pentland, and he is an Army sergeant, and purportedly he's based out of Fort Jackson. He was shown in the news this past week, again, with this bullshit-ass racism. There was a 19-year-old young man that was in the neighborhood,
19-year-olds
just walking around minding his own black ass business, and this man is just like, you don't belong here. Why the fuck are you walking around here? Get the fuck out of my neighborhood. Pushed the guy, assaulted him, everything. Even people in the neighborhood were just like, we know this kid. This kid is super nice. He always, asks people if they need help with anything. And then the army sergeant's wife was recording the whole thing. Oh, you don't have to worry about walking out. The police are coming right now. Blah blah blah. You don't belong in this neighborhood. Tell us where you live. Da, 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 da.
Tell us where you live, since we're assaulting you here.
Exactly. Like, I'm gonna tell you, like, these people are fucking stupid. So of course, you know what black folks did, which I love. Black folks, black people literally sat here and found this man's address. They leaked it everywhere, and a shit ton of black people came in this man's neighborhood in his front lawn and was like, hey, come on outside. We don't belong here either. We just want to talk to you. Let me just give you this little tidbit. For those white people in the audience, if a black person tells you, let's step outside and have a conversation, we just want to talk, they about to beat your ass.
They don't want to talk.
They're not going to, it's not going to be talking with your lips. They're going to be beating your ass.
Talking with the fist.
Exactly. So, and he's actually been not relieved of his duties, but he has been suspended. And because so many black people were at his house day and night, he literally had to be escorted by police officers off his own property. And they were like, yeah, come talk to somebody your own size with that bullshit. Like, stop asking people where the fuck they live. You got to show proof that you live here. Fuck you. Fuck you and mind your business.
Have you seen that cop, officer, security guard, black man on TikTok who is like, basically different security things you can do to make yourself feel safer?
Yeah.
And did you hear that wheeze? Lord.
You need ECMO. Okay, BiPAP. Go ahead.
Thank you. Fucking storm.
Metanebs.
So he says, if there's a car parked outside your house, there's someone in it and you're afraid. He was like, approach from the back, make sure you're recording, get their attention, be friendly, be like, hey, can I help you? What do you need? And walk over. He's like, most of the time people are just on the phone, but these are ways to protect yourself. That's the energy I need from everyone. If you think someone doesn't belong in your fucking neighborhood or you're freaked out.
Here's the thing. Mind your business.
That too.
If there is a car, which it has been, a car parked in my front little area on the side of the street, I have security cameras all over my house. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to people watch you from my security cameras in the comfort of my home. Now, I'm going to talk shit about you. Who the fuck is this? Who the fuck is that? Now, if you're doing strange activity, you know what I'm going to do as a law abiding? I'm going to call the fucking police. You know why? Because if I go out there, I have guns in my house. I'm not going out of my house without a gun in my hand. So I don't have the privilege to be able to walk around with weapons like that and just throwing them off on people. So I'm going to call the people who that's your job to fix that shit. Mm-hmm. Why do we need to police? Like, here's the thing. We don't have neighborhood watch anymore.
We police those who can't police themselves.
No. You okay. Police yourself. You're going to get killed too.
Keep on. Learn today.
Because do you belong in this neighborhood? I'm sorry, belong. Excuse me. Who the fuck are you?
It's 2021, sir.
Girl. First of all, you're in the military and you're active duty. One thing the military don't play with is racism. They'll be racist to each other, but outsiders, they don't let you be racist to nobody else.
Yeah, you can't take that.
Yeah, no. You can't be racist to nobody else. But yeah, so I hope you lose your job. I hope you lose your service connection. I hope you lose everything. You fucking piece of shit.
Like his wife,
Jonathan Pentland. And I hope she loses everything too, because y'all shouldn't be doing shit like that. Like, you're the fucking armed services, and the fact that you're a sergeant, there was a better way for you to talk to this young man. First of all, you didn't even have to talk to him at all. You shouldn't have talked to him at all. But since you did, there was a different way and a different approach. The boy was he's not a boy. The young man was so calm. He was just like, I'm walking. Where the fuck are you walking to? What? I will beat your ass. He's
People
like,
are
sir,
so
I'm fucking walking.
Why can't you just talk shit inside your home like everyone else?
That's what I'm saying. Like, don't be a piece of shit. Anyway, I'm tired. I'm so sick of talking about that. All right, let's just take a quick break and we'll be right back. This episode of The Face Off with Fleming and Fowler is sponsored by myapothecary.com. My Apothecary is the premier online destination for hemp-derived CBD that will help you curate a wealthy lifestyle.
CBD is one of many restorative compounds found in the cannabis plant. Its benefits include decreased pain, improved mood, decreased anxiety, and much more. Some of y'all know that I have crazy ADHD, so I'm heavily medicated at all times, and I've been taking CBD oil at night to kind of calm me down, get me ready for bed. 10/10 would recommend.
Worried about regulations? The passing of the 2018 Farm Bill made hemp-derived CBD legal to sell and consume. So yes, CBD is 100% legal and perfect for every person of legal age. My Apothecary's featured line, Broad Bloom, offers broad-spectrum CBD oil drops, sports cream, and soft gels. These products have no THC, so you can stay fly without the high or zen without the spin. Shop now at www.myapothecary.com and sign up for their newsletter to get exclusive offers, product releases, and CBD news.
Remember to always check with your healthcare provider before consuming any supplement. You must be 21 to purchase and consume, and shipping is only available in the US of A.
Don't forget to shop at www.myapothecary.com. All right, so guys, we have our special guest, aka Kim Possible. Again, we are not releasing any information with regard to this particular person's agency, where they live, what state they're in, just for privacy purposes and protection purposes as well too. So we do have our special guest that's here that is an active duty police officer currently right now, and so we're just going to go over some information. One of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on the show was really because I feel like a lot of the conversations that people have with police officers are really with white police officers, trying to really understand the minds of white police officers. And I kind of think to a degree we're really beyond that point. And I'm really not concerned about what white officers are thinking, because we kind of already know based off their actions, right? But I definitely wanted to find out what you really thought as far as being a Black African-American woman, working in the trenches, being a police officer, and kind of getting, understanding the mind of what you're going through. Because again, I think a lot of times we are so hyper focused on, well, what are these police officers doing to correct the situation and blah, blah, blah. But nobody is really understanding where you guys are as African Americans dealing with this stuff and getting, issues from both sides. So one of the first questions I wanted to ask you was, why did you want to become a police officer in the first place?
So I have my aunt, my dad's sister. So she was a deputy. I can just remember, like, growing up, we would be out and about and people were like, "What's up?" And she would go into like, "Oh, how's your family? Oh, I haven't seen you in a while." And it just, in those moments, it explained to me, like, yes, you can be an officer of the law. Yes, you can, like, uphold the law. But in the same token, she was viewed as a person, not a deputy. Mm-hmm. And just the rapport that she had with some of the people, I thoroughly enjoyed that. And no matter where we went, she always knew someone. And it wasn't a situation like, "Oh, she's a pig," or whatever. And then people would tell their family members like, "Oh, yeah, I know from such and such. She always look out for me. I'll get my phone calls when I need them." So I always look up to her. So she is primarily the reason why I went into law enforcement, along with her children. They're in law enforcement too right now. I guess she was a sergeant. Her ex-husband made it up to a captain. So I guess it was just instilled in them. And then she knows now, but she didn't even know when I was younger. Like, I looked up to her so much and I wanted to be just like her.
Yeah. So you would definitely say that representation mattered because you saw this other person.
Definitely matters. Even down to something where I'm in a grocery store, and I've seen this numerous times. I'll have my hair in like a afro puff, or just my afro, because it's not breaking the directive as long as it's not going past my second seam, right? Mm-hmm. And little Black girls would be like, "Oh my God," like pointing at me like, "Look at her." I've had multiple times look at her hair, and not look at her hair like in disgust, but like, her hair looks like my hair, right?
Right.
So representation is very important. So yeah, and that makes me feel good when I'm out and about, and it's like, "Oh my God!" Or I've even had little girls like try to play in my hair, and I'm like, "Okay, well, time out." But no, representation is important, and we need to see that in every sector, not just in law enforcement. We need to see it in the medical field, right? Mm-hmm. We see it when it comes to sports, right? You'll always see that, but we need it when we're talking about engineers, and I know we have lawyers, but we need more lawyers. Like, we just need it in every aspect outside of sports.
Right.
So it is.
Absolutely. So another question I want to ask is, how long have you actually been a police officer? How many years have you been on the force?
Yeah, so I am like 6 weeks shy of 5 years. So I'm still a baby in this profession. So I haven't been on that long. However, I've seen more than what the average person see on a day-to-day.
Yeah, so, definitely.
Yeah, in this profession.
Yeah. So what is it like being specifically a Black female police officer in the community that you police currently?
So there are good days, right, and there are bad days. Some days it's challenging. I will just, of course, speak for myself. So I feel like sometimes I'm always in this cycle Because my community, I'm viewed as a pig. I'm viewed as a switch, not a
A
not a
sellout.
snitch. Yeah, like a sellout, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as these things, and then my thing, I'm like, well, hey, if I don't infiltrate these agencies or someone that looks like me, then how are we going to progress as a people? Because we need people like me in these positions to speak
Absolutely.
up going wrong. So it can be challenging at times. I will say my age, so I'll say like the younger crowd up into like mid 30s is like, F you, oh, you're this, you're that, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when I run into older Black people or African American people, the response that I get is always like, baby, you have a good day. You be safe out there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for protecting and serving us. So that warms my heart because, yes, I do get the FUs, but I also on the back end get like, thank you so much. And I'm going to say a prayer for you. And I'm going to make sure that you stay safe, you know.
Right.
So as much as you get the hate, you get the love as well.
That's good. And how do you process your emotions on a daily basis being a Black female police officer and the things that you see, especially, with things that are going on in the media right now and just, the normal calls that you get on a daily basis?
Right. So sometimes, and I don't know if this is good or bad, but I try not to come home and watch what's going on, like far as the news, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's good or bad, but being that we see so much on a day to day, I don't need more bad news sometimes when I
Yeah.
come home. So a lot of days I find myself decompressing, whether that is laying on my floor for like 30 minutes and taking my mind to Jamaica or somewhere that have beautiful beaches. I will do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I am an advocate of going to therapy. I go twice a month. If I could afford to go 3 times, I would. It's important that I don't come home with that baggage every single day. Because before I got into therapy, I was doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or people would call me and I'm like, oh, yeah, definitely don't want to talk today because I've been talking all day today. But then I had to realize, like, I'm shutting the most important people out of my life
Mm-hmm.
and I need these people, right?
Right.
So I come home, I decompress. Sometimes I'll rally up with my work husbands and I'm like, can you believe today? And we go from A to Z and back to Z. Or most times I'll wait until I have my therapy session. If it's
Mm-hmm.
not anything urgent, I'll wait till my therapy session and go from there with my therapist and just spill it all out.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes your family or your friends, they're going to give good advice, but it's nothing like that third party to give you advice in a professional way, right?
Right. And especially in an unbiased opinion because they don't know who you
Not
are.
correct. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I suggest to anybody that's in this, if you're not going to therapy, please use the services.
Yeah. So what is your,
Yeah.
as a police officer at your particular agency, what does your either monthly, quarterly, and annual training look like? Like whether it could be, with regard to weapons, mental
hmm
health, all that kind of stuff. Like what are your monthly requirements, your quarterly requirements, and your annual training look like?
So one thing I love about my agency, if we have the bodies on the road, meaning like if someone is not out pregnant or we don't have officers that are injured, my agency is very good about sending us to training.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to do cultural training each year and we have to do just regular laws or brushing up on the laws that are coming out. So you have to do those trainings and you get credit for them each year. Now, there is an academy not too far from us. If I wanted to go every month, I could go. So I recently said, hey, I want to do a search warrant class, right? Because I don't want to, I want to always make sure I am not going against someone's rights, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, sure, go to the search warrant class. If I wanted to do something like training on mental health. You can go to that too. And that also, my job, if you are a newer officer or if you are a seasoned officer, it's called a crisis intervention team or / training, which is CIT. So it's a 40-hour course where we are talking with individuals that have mental health issues. They're giving us scenarios. So I will say the training is always ongoing, and I believe people should want to sign up for training, right? Because like nothing stays the same.
Right.
So it's good about that. I don't have any problems. And if you do not get these trainings in, then guess what? You lose your certification. And you need your job, right? I'm assuming you need your job.
Right. So these trainings that you're talking about with regard to cultural competence, even with shooting and all that kind of stuff, going to your active shooter kind of situations, and also with mental health, is this mandatory each month, or is it more like an annual kind of retraining?
It's more so like, I'm sorry, my watch. No,
it's okay.
Yeah. So those trainings are annually.
Okay.
However, for myself, I'll do it quarterly. So I would be lying if I said I went to a training each month. Can I? If we have the bodies on the road, I don't think my sergeant or my lieutenant would be against it. However, I do my trainings quarterly.
Gotcha.
But something like cultural diversity, you will only do that once a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next question I want to ask you is kind of piggybacking off of, with regard to the training that you have specifically with the weaponry training. Are police officers trained or educated to shoot to avoid killing a suspect, such as like slowing down the perpetrator? You know how like Jamie Foxx did on Django when he busted kneecaps out of Samuel L. Jackson? Or is it basically just at your discretion, like depending on the imminent threat that's currently in your face? Do you have the discretion to choose whether or not you shoot to kill, or is it suggested or recommended to always try to shoot to slow down the perpetrator?
No, so we are trained to assess the threat. And so we're not trained to slow down the person. So there have been plenty of situations where I think an officer has like shot the person and didn't assess the threat, and then you'll have that individual that will run up on you, possibly having a knife right in their hand, getting ready to use that knife as a deadly weapon. So no, we're not trained to slow down the person. We are trained to assess the threat. Now, far as an unarmed person, we're not trained to shoot unarmed individuals. However, if this person poses a threat, you can assess that threat. And if the person is like, I guess, calming down, then you bring it down a notch as well. But no, we're definitely not trained to slow down. We're trained to assess the threat.
Gotcha. So when it comes to like your, everybody's natural fight or flight response, and especially with police officers, I feel like you guys' fight or flight response, I think, to me, honestly, in my personal opinion, I think police officers and suspects fight or flight responses are at the same level, because as a police officer, you're even in a routine traffic stop, or if you get called to a house or something, you don't know what these people have in their cars or their houses. But at the same time, from the suspect's point of view, we don't know who you are, what you plan on doing. Both parties just know that they want to be able to get home to their family safely. So even in those situations, do you feel like from a police officer standpoint that when you talk about threats specifically, that maybe there is an under assessing of a real threat versus just your heightened fight or flight response that comes out?
It could be. Thankfully, I haven't been in that situation. Let me talk on something.
Yeah.
That honestly, I'm unsure, and I don't want to really like speak on other people's situations, right? Because I've been in that situation. I'm not going to say my agency is like cookie cutter or whatever, because we deal with things sometimes too. But since I've been on, I haven't witnessed that myself, nor have I been in that situation.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like the situation, we were talking the other day about the Daunte Wright situation, and we spoke about that a little bit earlier with regard to the police officer, the 26-year vet, Kim Potter, who who accidentally, and I'm saying that in quotes, shot Daunte Wright, killing him, unfortunately. And she said that she confused her taser with her gun. How easy is it as a police officer to confuse your taser with your gun?
So once again, I'm going to speak for myself, right? So I don't know about every agency, but my agency did a good job of making sure our taser is not the same color as our firearm. That's number one. So my taser is yellow, and I place my taser on my less dominant side. My firearm is all black, and I put it on my dominant side. For me, I know when I pick up my firearm because it is way heavier. It also has a flashlight. I just know the difference because of the weight. But then you have this taser. It's light. It's light in weight and it's yellow. So I don't know her situation as to how she didn't realize one wasn't the other. But, and that's another thing, we do trainings, right?
Yeah.
So our firearm instructor, they also make sure that we practice with our taser, drawing your taser, drawing your gun. So these are things that we do when we're getting ready to qualify, or we do with our TAC unit, making sure that we draw our taser so we can feel how it feels when you're doing the trigger press.
Right.
So, yeah. And granted, even though I wear my taser on my less dominant side, I still draw with my right hand, which is my dominant side. In this situation, I don't know how the two can get mixed up. I wasn't there.
Right.
But we do have trainings
to prevent situations like that. Yeah. So let me ask you this question. When you hear the term as a Black African American, well, actually not even as a Black female, as a police officer just in general, when you hear the term defund the police, what does that mean to you, or how does that phrase make you feel?
That phrase doesn't make me feel anyway. I am actually for it, right? So with all the mental health crisis that we're having on a day-to-day, why wouldn't we allocate more money into social workers, right? Then I get something like noise complaints, right? So why wouldn't we allocate more money into maybe code enforcement so they can work different hours in the night? I am not opposed to it. So I'll just use an example. So we'll have roughly, because my agency is not that big, but we'll have roughly, I'll say 22 officers on the morning shift. There have been days where there are anywhere from 8 to 10 officers at the hospital dealing with mental health patients. So we need those bodies on the road to run these calls, right? But they're stuck in the hospital dealing with someone that's having a crisis right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not against it, or I'm not up in arms because someone is saying defund the police. And I think a lot of times people get defund and abolishing confused. I'm like, no, they're just saying they want to allocate funds in different departments.
Right. And I think people have I think you're absolutely right. People have this issue when they hear the word defund because they automatically assume, oh, we're trying to take monies out of police officers' hands and their paychecks. It's like, no, you're not policing for free. This is not, what this is, because you rarely see the phrase defund the police without seeing its sister police reform. You know what I mean? It's that police reform and defund the police are usually always simultaneous when you're talking in a conversation. And so some people are like, well, why don't you just not use the term defund? No. We want to take the money, but we want to reallocate. So it's reallocate the police. That don't sound right.
Right. So no, I trust me, I do not get up in arms with oh my God, why are they saying that? I'm like, oh my God, yes, let's pour more money into the community in different ways that I guess you can. I don't know, but it doesn't make me feel any type of way. I'm like, go ahead, shoot for the stars.
Because I feel like too, even like for police officers, I feel so bad for y'all sometimes. Like just watching on TV, right? Because art depicts life, right? I can only imagine the amount of phone calls that y'all get that are not police phone calls. Like, I got a snake in my house because I need to call the police. The police is not the vet, okay? They can't come and rescue you from a snake.
I literally had like 2 back to back today, and one was just like, oh my God, this person like cursed me out today. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to let you know there is like no criminal intent when someone like curses you out. I think maybe y'all were just having a debate. And that's not good enough sometimes for the citizens. They're like, well, we call you, we want you to do something. And I'm like, I get it, but if someone curses at you, I mean,
you just got cussed out.
It's just that simple, right?
Right.
So, to some people, it's not that simple, right?
Yeah.
So, and going back to defunding the police, right? So we have to wear so many different hats, and I'm like, well, why not give these hats to someone else, right?
Right.
So I'm for it.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question, kind of piggybacking off of that. Do you feel like you as an armed police officer should be responding to routine traffic stops, such as if somebody has a bad tag or if they have something dangling in their rearview mirror or they have a busted tail light? Do you think that armed police officers, or do you feel that armed police officers should be given the duty of routine traffic stops, or should that be given to like code enforcers?
Well, I will tell you, as of recently, my state mandated that we cannot stop you for things hanging on your mirrors. We cannot stop you for dead tags. We cannot stop you for a lot of things now, like even like your exhaust on your vehicle. So I don't know about every agency, every state, but we are getting away from that. So most of our traffic stops now are straight up like speeding or reckless driving. So I'm thankful for that. And especially like I'll use something as dead tags. Everybody in the whole wide world know what happened in 2020, right? COVID happened.
Right.
So everybody couldn't make it to the DMV to update their tags. So the DMV is, I don't know, maybe 6 months out. Like people are getting appointments 6 months out. So I am thankful for that. But routine traffic stops, like I said, if the person is like driving reckless or speeding, I don't definitely see anything wrong with that. But once again, I'm happy that we have gotten away from the expired tags.
Yeah.
Or exhaust is so loud, right?
Right.
So, or you have something in your mirror, like, come on. So,
yeah,
I think those are somewhat unnecessary. So now we're doing just the necessary traffic stops, and hopefully other agencies will follow suit.
Gotcha. Now I want to shift gears a little bit to kind of like ethics, like the code of ethics, especially when it comes to officers of the law. Have you, if or when you have witnessed an unethical or questionable situation, specifically with a white officer or a black suspect, do you personally hold that officer accountable in the moment, or could that potentially cause friction within your agency if you were to call them out?
So I haven't seen anything like that, and I think it's because of who I am. Like, one thing I don't play about my people, you're not going to mistreat them. I don't want you mistreating no one, period. But like, I personally haven't experience that. However, there are some other officers in my agencies, I'm not going to really speak on their situation, that have experienced that, and they did go and report that, and let's just say some people aren't with us anymore. So I don't think we have a problem with that. And one thing I love about my chief, he has like 40 plus years in law enforcement. He has an open door policy. So I know some agencies want you to go through the chain, right?
Yeah.
So you go to your lieutenant, go to your captain, if you have a deputy chief, and then it makes it up to the chief. But my chief, he has an open door policy.
Mm-hmm.
He does not tolerate foolishness, within the agency. So I'm thankful that I haven't experienced that, but I will say if I ever did, trust me, I'm going to pull that person to the side and we're going to have a conversation.
Right. Because even like when it comes to the rules of engagement of like, reporting that questionable behavior, because I even know like even from my profession, being a physical therapist in medicine, these physicians are very much well protected because, it takes 7 years to create one of me, but it can take 13 to 15 years to create one physician, right? So these hospitals want to get their money's worth. And a lot of times, even if you do report questionable behavior that you see, sometimes it falls on deaf ears. And so, with regard to like the rules of engagement, let's just say hypothetically, if you were to go to your chief and say, hey, chief, this is what I've witnessed. I think this may become a problem, X, Y, and Z. Can there ever be a time where you can go beyond your chief and like maybe go to internal affairs or something like that? Or is that, kind of not an option?
No. So we have great people in internal affairs right now, my agency. I love that. Right. And outside of the chief, like I think with my agency, they want to deal with everything in-house because you don't want to the city manager, right? You don't want certain things to take it to the mayor. So a lot of the issues that people have had, they've never went outside of like our house. They deal with it right then and right there if it is brought to their attention.
Yeah. So with regard to like everything that's kind of been going on, especially with the whole Derek Chauvin case and the murder of George Floyd and, more recently Daunte Wright. I mean, there's so many different unarmed Black individuals that have been unfortunately a part of this hashtag community. I personally feel as a citizen of society that white officers have this magical power to police white people so much easier than Black Americans in this country. And as a police officer, do you feel the same way? And if so, why?
So I think everybody tends to do better with something that they're comfortable with, right? Yeah. So like for me, when I go on a scene and I'll see that there's an African American, if there's other white officers with me, I'll usually step in and have my Southern drawl.
Yeah.
Because I want the person to be comfortable. And there's even been situations where I'll just tell the other officer, like, no, I'll just handle this or whatever. I think across the board, people just tend to do better with what they're comfortable with. That's just the real reality.
Yeah.
Am I comfortable with just about every race? Of course, I can talk to anybody. Like, it's just talking, right?
Yeah.
But I think, and you will have situations, right, where I'll go to a call and people have said, and it goes both ways, right, where I've had an African-American person say, no, I want to talk to her, right?
Yeah.
And then I've been calls where you have a white person to say to another officer, I want to talk to them. So I think it goes both ways. Like, people just talk to who they're comfortable with.
Yeah. Because I think even too, like Alyssa and I were having this conversation on one of our other episodes of the podcast, that even in healthcare too, like when you talk, when we talked about in the beginning of our interview, representation matters. It definitely matters in the healthcare industry, in every industry that you go into, right? And so, even when we have African American patients who may be a little bit belligerent or they may be confused, because as you know, the history in this country, especially with African Americans not wanting to go to the hospital or physicians and stuff like that, there's a huge distrust, and so a lot of times, even if it's not my patient, I will still, step in, just like you said, and advocate because they need avocation. And it's like, this person is not being belligerent. You don't even understand cultural competence. And like you said, people respond better to what they're more comfortable with. So even on the backs of that, have you personally ever been pulled over by another police officer in your county or outside of your county when you weren't in uniform?
Yeah, so twice, right? So one day I was just having the worst day ever. So I made a illegal U-turn and this officer had every right to stop me. And it was another female officer. And when she gets to my window, like, you could tell I'm not crying because she just stopped me. I'm just having the worst day ever, right? Tears just falling down. And she's like, oh my God, all of this because I stopped you. I was like, if I tell you what's going on with me, you'll just like ease up a little bit. And she was like, you know what? I am so sorry. And we actually had a powwow on this side of the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good interact. Like, I didn't even tell her that I was an officer. She was like, you know what? You have a better day, you know? And I went on about my business. And then there was another time I was actually stopped by a state trooper. And, you know, I pretty much like showed my creds. Hey, I'm with this agency. And the person was like, hey, well, you know, you got to slow down a little bit. I think I was going like 13 over. You need to slow down a bit. You know, you're on a busy highway. And it wasn't a nasty encounter. And it just wasn't nasty. And I'm not going to say, oh my God, because even when he got to the window, he wasn't nasty with me. And I'm not going to say just because I was a police officer, you know, he like cut me a break, but it wasn't a nasty encounter. So I've been pulled over twice as an officer. One day my life was falling apart. The next time, I don't know. I was just trying to get somewhere.
Yeah. And I even said that too a little earlier on our podcast that, you know, my mom used to work for the police department back in South Florida, and she worked there for 33 years. And she had this one particular employee lanyard that hung from her rearview mirror. And so it's like, you can't purchase this anywhere. Like you have to be an employee in order to get this particular lanyard. And I was stopped by another city police officer, but he recognized the actual lanyard and was like, do you work for the police department? I was like, no, it's my mom. And of course I was speeding, but he was just like, all right, just slow down. And I was like, yay, I got off. But then there are times where that lanyard, they ain't giving a fuck. They just like, bitch, you're gonna get a ticket and you're getting a ticket today.
Yeah. Some days it's like, okay, I'm gonna give you a pass. Some days it's like, oh yeah, absolutely no.
Exactly. So let me ask you this question. In your department, have you ever experienced you know, racism or even like microaggression racism or discrimination at all being an African American female police officer?
So what I've experienced is like just ignorance. So like going back to my afro, right? Sometimes I'll wear it to work because it's my hair.
Yeah.
So I wear my afro and I've had like people to say, hey, what's all of that? And then my response is, hair is the same thing that grows on your hair. You know, mine's just defy gravity, right? And then I shut down the conversation. So it's always been like just ignorance about my hair. Like I had one time someone was like, I had in braids and it was in a bun, and clearly, you know, our buns are like pretty big.
Right.
My head. Oh my God. And well, if you get in a fight, they're going to pull your hair and drag you. And I'm thinking to myself, well, would you say this to one of my white counterparts that wear a lower bun? They could possibly pull their buns too. Like if you don't understand it, then leave it alone.
Right.
But it's hair, right? We all have. And if I am not breaking any directives by wearing this, why are you even commenting on my hair?
Exactly.
And that's so like 1997. Like I feel like wherever you go, you're almost going to run into a black woman in 2021 with natural hair.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, like the comments be so late. I'm like, what rock have you been under?
Like we change our hair 5 times a week. Wake up.
No, that is so us.
Yes.
Right? Like, I want to change my hair.
Right.
Oh my God, you just had like straight hair the other day, and then the day you have like this puff, and I'm like, yeah, like
it's called versatility.
Exactly. Try it sometime.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question. And you, I'm sorry, I cut you off. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
I'm saying that's what I have experienced, not just like blatant,
racism.
Yeah, just ignorance.
Gotcha. Okay. So let me ask you this question. do you feel that not necessarily in your particular agency, but other agencies that you've seen, do you feel that police departments kind of have this sense of like brotherhood that covers up unethical behaviors? Because, I know like even in the medical field, like when a patient complains on a nurse and says, oh, this nurse was this to me and that nurse was that to me. And, we who know the nurse or the doctor or whoever, we're just like, no, we know you're not like that. Like this patient that may, not negating their experience, but, we know who you are. We know you don't have that type of attitude, blah, blah, blah. Do you feel like in police departments at large that there is this sense of like, brotherhood that covers up unethical behaviors and actions?
Definitely. Well, if it's not in my agency, right? And I think that mentality is something of many years ago. I haven't seen that because, like I said earlier, my coworker went and said something that he seen that was unethical, and it went up the chain, and this person is no longer with us.
Right.
So I definitely don't want to cover anything up because like that's my job. And then what do I look like watching you or seeing you doing something to somebody? Like it's just straight up wrong because I have to keep in mind, right? I have a dad, I have a brother, I have close friends, I have you could very well do that to them. So if you get away with it once, you'll do it again. Right. So I not participate in those reindeer games.
Gotcha. So what are like the rules of engagement when it comes to being in contact with servicemen and women from the armed forces? As we know in the news this past week, Karen Nazario, who is a second lieutenant in the Army, who was dressed in his military garb, was at a gas station, stopped by these two particular police officers, and he had his hands out of the window, pepper sprayed, and now the one who actually pepper sprayed him has now been fired as a result. And when he was just trying to talk to them. So what are you taught as a police officer, or what are police officers taught when coming in contact with members from our armed forces?
So we are supposed to treat them as any other civilian. However, I think there's an unwritten rule that like we give courtesy. So I'll speak for myself. Every time I have come in contact with someone that is in any branch of the military, number one, I'm thanking you for your services. And two, like I'm like, okay, well you did X, Y, and Z. Like if it's a traffic stop, right? X, Y, and Z, you need to slow down. If it's something like we'll say like a domestic, I don't have no discretion.
Yeah.
I can't give you any discretion if she is beating him up or he's beating her up or, I can't give discretion on those things. But if I'm just out and about and it's a traffic violation, unless you almost killed someone, I'm just like, have a good day and thank you for your services. So it's like an unwritten rule, and that's how I was trained when I was in FTO. Like, yes, you are supposed to treat them as just the regular civilians. However, we tend to deal with them just slightly different. And I've seen it with multiple officers, how we give them a break. If we can give them a break.
Right. So, just depending on the action.
Yeah, depending on the action. Right. Yeah. So I'm always like thankful, get to where you need to get safe, but slow down. But like I said, on the flip side, if it's that domestic, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, we got to go down to the jail.
Thank you for your service, but bitch, you're going to jail.
Yeah, because it's out of my control, right?
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm not going to get hemmed up for you because you a second lieutenant. I don't even know if that's the correct term. So all you military people don't get me for this. So I don't care if you're it, right? But if you beat in your wife's ass, I'm not going, because I'll get hemmed up.
Yeah.
And I need my. So yeah,
absolutely.
It's a
Yeah, I think kind of, I think everybody kind of does that, just with military people, no matter who it is, even in the medical field, like you try to always, really protect these men and women of our armed forces, whether they're active duty or, veterans. We just have a soft spot for our veterans just because it's like, you have fought for my freedom at some point in time in your life. And I'm appreciative for that.
I mean, hell, tonight when we go to sleep, right? It's them that are on the front lines to make sure that America is safe, that there's no bombs being dropped on us tonight.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always thankful. Like, we take a lot of stuff for granted, but I do not take this for granted because I'm not out there. Like, so I always try to give these, and I look at something so simple as these people are deployed for months or years at a time. They're not with their family. For them to keep their sanity when they come back, like, nah, I'm gonna give you a break.
Yeah.
If I can.
Right. Absolutely. So as a police officer, currently working active duty, is there, in all the stuff that we see on TV and on social media and everything that's going on, is there really anything that Black Americans can actually do to ensure that we can make it home, safely when encountering a police officer during a traffic stop? Because, a lot of times it seems like Black Americans, we comply, just like Philando Castile did, and you still get shot dead in front of your fiance and your daughter. So it's like, is there anything that we can actually do other than complying to what police officers want us to comply with, whether it be a traffic stop, whether it just be an engagement with a police officer? What can we actually do as Black Americans in this country to make sure we get home safely?
So, and that's the irony, right? You tell people to comply, and sometimes it doesn't turn out the way that it's supposed to turn out, right? And it's so unfortunate that I can't even say just comply.
Yeah.
Right? But I am going to say whatever these people are asking you, or these officers are asking you, just try to do it, because the goal is to get home every night, right? Not to like have egos to flare up. One thing I always tell like my dad and my brother, I'm like, okay, if you get stopped, like with that lieutenant, I don't know everything about his situation, but I heard he had on like flashing lights and he wanted to get to a well-lit area. Like, a lot of people don't know. So if you are being stopped by an officer, I'll just speak for my state, and you don't feel comfortable, call 911 and tell them, or the non-emergency number, I am being stopped. Give them the location and pull over to a well-lit area. If they ask you for whatever, just give it to them. Girl, I don't even know what to say, because people be complying and don't make it home, and that's the unfortunate part.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, even with regard to like ego, I think a lot of times, because even if you're educated on your rights in your particular state, the fact that I think sometimes the based off some of the videos that you see or the stories that you hear, the fact that you're educated on the law almost kind of pisses off police officers. You know what I mean? Like certain police officers, like you come in contact and you're just like, well, first of all, your violation, the reason for you stopping me is invalidated because of X, Y, and Z. And they're like, hold on, motherfucker. Okay. Let me first tell you why I stopped you. Okay. Don't just start talking and doing all this extra stuff, because now you about to hype me up and I'm about to flex my real badge on your ass. You know what I mean? So
all I can say is, if you do come in contact, if you don't feel comfortable, you can always pick up. Well, let me not say that, because we've seen people have cell phones on them, and then that was a situation where you thought it was something that it wasn't.
Yeah.
But at that moment, just give that officer what they want, so you can just live to see another day, and don't do no extra movement, because I want you to live to see another day. And I will say, like, if you're doing a traffic stop at night and people are fidgeting and stuff, like, you don't know what that individual have in their car. If they asking for, I don't know, your license and your registration, just give it to them. oh God, that's frustrating.
Yeah,
Where
because
you
there's like
like,
no right answer for it. Like, you've seen videos and examples of people who've done everything. People tell them keep your hands on the wheel. People have their hands sticking outside. They're just like, my registration is in my glove compartment. I'm not going to open it because I don't feel safe. Can you please get your sergeant? And then even if you're just like, okay, well, officer, I agree for you to put your hands in here to open up my glove compartment. Then some people may be paranoid about a police officer planting stuff on them, because that happens too. So it's like, it's really, unfortunately, a lose-lose either way. Like,
yeah. And that's one thing that I love about myself. So like, when I usually go up to someone's car, I'm like, hey, I'm Officer Kim Possible with this agency, and I stopped you because, and I go up with a smile, and I'm just like happy to greet people. And it is such a good feeling when you will have someone say, damn, where you been at? I ain't never met no damn officer like you, right?
Right.
And I'm not policing the area that I grew up in, right? So they can tell that I'm from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, damn, with your accent and stuff like that. And that makes me feel so good, because I don't know what kind of day this person had, right? And hell, I could probably stop a damn somebody probably just left their damn house from murdering their wife, and because I was nice to them, I'm living to see another damn day. Like, courtesy goes a long way. Just, you don't have to, I don't know, puff up your chest, but in the same token, you will stop people, and they're like, the fuck you stopped me for? And I'm like, okay, so here we go.
Yeah.
Don't even give me a chance. You're already heightened. And I'm like, okay, so when you finish, I'll talk to you.
Yeah, because I think hostility breeds only, more hostility.
Yeah, and some people don't stop. They don't let up on my ass, right? And I'm just like, okay, so you know what? I don't get paid enough for you to like beat me up. So I'm gonna just call my sergeant and let them deal with this.
Yeah,
because you can't get through to some people, and I get it, right? We see certain things on the news. And not all the time perception is reality. So people just think that, damn, every time the police stop me, they just fucking with me. But sometimes y'all be dead wrong, though.
Yeah, listen, that's very true. When I got pulled over here, I've only been pulled over once here in Texas, thankfully. Thank you God, knock on wood, or whatever this is sitting next to me. And when the police officer came up to me, and this was on a Sunday morning, and it was a speed trap. It was, however, I was going 55 miles an hour in a 40 mile an hour zone. And he comes up to my window, and I'm like, good morning, officer. How are you? And he's like, how you doing, ma'am? My name is so-and-so from agency so-and-so. Do you know why I stopped you today? And I was like, oh, I was speeding. And he was like, yes, you were. Do you know how fast you were going? I know I was going faster than 40. I do know that. And he was like, well, thank you for your honesty. Okay, I'll be right back. And he let me off with a warning. He was like, you have a great Sunday.
Tell people you get, what's that saying? I think you get more bees.
More bees with honey? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do, right? Versus shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes people be like just already up in arms. I'm like, oh my God. So this is the day that we about to have.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So I just have two more questions left for you, and then we're gonna wrap this up. The second to last question I have is, as an African American female police officer, do you feel protected by your Black male counterparts in your agency, or just in general being a part of this, a part of this agency of being a police officer? Do you feel protected as a Black woman on the force?
I definitely do. So there is, I want to say roughly 8 or 9 women, African American women at my agency, but some of them are brass, and meaning they're higher up, right? They're not on the street. They've been there for years. So like on the road, I think it's either 4 or 5 of us. It's not that many, African American women on the street. And one thing I can say, sometimes I want to get rid of some of my work husbands. I got one too many. So I do. No, seriously.
Oh, gosh.
I have one too many, and I definitely do feel protected. Even the ones that we don't even agree with. Like, so I have this one guy, we will bump heads because he always thinks he right. I always think I'm right. So we just like, ugh. But one thing I can say, if I'm on the call and he sees things are not going the way that they should, he will step in. He's like the big brother that, I guess I never knew that I needed. So I definitely do feel protected. They will stand in. They will protect you. Mm-hmm. Even something down, like if we go, I went on the burglary today, right? And the door was open and I'm getting ready to go in. And that same guy was like, no, you going in behind us. So he let all the guys go in and then I followed suit. So they always like try to protect me where if it's a citizen being nasty mm-hmm. or if we're going into a danger zone, or you see somebody getting ready to like buck up on me, mm-hmm. very protective. So yes, I do feel protected by them.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. That's reassuring too, that even, the amount of African-American women that we have on the force, that you guys feel protected within your actual agency, because you get enough, hell and hate from the citizens, unfortunately. And so, it's good to know that you feel protected in your particular agency. And the last question I have for you is, what is the one thing that you would like the public to know about officers of the law, just in general? Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, purple, polka dotted, green. What's the one thing that you would like the public to know about you all?
Well, what I'm going to say, most people are like, oh, hell no. Honestly, it's decent damn people on the force. It really is. Mm-hmm. Like, we're not in this for the money, by no means necessary. So it is really like, girl, clearly. So it is really, and that's what I'm going to say, we have Asian people in my department, Hispanic, white, African American. So we definitely have good people. So I just want people to understand, and I know this is the thing, right? People be like, collectively, the police is fucked up or they're bad. But then they'll be like, but I know this one, police officer, they cool as shit. So they, individually, they know cool people, collectively we're bad, but there are a lot of good people. I just think the bad ones, it is highlighted and everybody's just thrown in a bunch. I have even had, like your question was, have you had black officers to stand up for you? I've had white officers be like, oh, it ain't going down like that with her. Mm-hmm. So, you really do have good people that want to make a difference, that definitely want to protect and serve. However, just like every profession, you got some fucked up people.
Yeah, very much so.
It's just the reality. They're human at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Hell, I worked at a bank prior to this. And I worked with some shitty people. Guess what? Because they were stealing people's information.
Yeah.
So don't have the perception that people at the bank, they're so nice, they're so friendly, they'll grin right in your face and take your information.
Oh yeah, I mean, people who work in customer service can be some of the most grimy people. Like when you work in public service in general, there are some grimy ass people. I mean, nurses who will leave patients in shit all day, who just be like, oh, you gonna cuss me out, Mr. Johnson? Fuck you, bitch. I'm giving you Haldol. You going to sleep, motherfucker. You're like, ma'am, you can't do that.
Haldol saving us, girl. People be going crazy. But, and another thing, like, I don't, if you were to get any feedback, if people have like any questions that we didn't answer today, I am definitely open to that. And another thing that, like, what my agency, I'm a part of this, this organization called Noble, and it's just basically, it's for anybody that want to join, but it was started by Black officers.
And what was the name of the agency again? Or what was the name of the group?
Yeah, so it's Noble. It started in the 70s. So it was basically like Black executives that went out and talked to different Black officers to talk about things that they have went through. We meet up yearly. We didn't meet up last year. And we just talk about our experience. Anybody of any race can, like, join it. It's not just for Black people. But we go out and we want to educate the public. So you'll find us at churches. We do domestic violence, seminars, sex trafficking. Like, we do it all. And if anybody want to research it, it's the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. You don't have to be an executive. And I'm also pitching that for people of color, African American people that don't know about this organization. It is a great organization. My chief is white, and he's a part of this organization.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, and he is like, he's for the culture, honestly.
That is awesome.
So, if people, and I don't know what are the restrictions right now with COVID in different areas, but look them up from time to time. And if there's questions that you have, they definitely are out in the community. The boots are on the ground. So go and ask, questions if you have any.
And is it just like www.noble.com?
Yeah, well, it's noblenational.org.
Okay, noblenational.org. Okay.
Correct, yeah.
Gotcha.
So you can find Noble. Honestly, Noble, I've met people like from Jamaica. We have police officers from Jamaica, some from London. So they're all around, but primarily here on the domestic side, United States. But I think we're in like all 50 states. So find go on their site, see where's the nearest place in your area, and definitely check them out from time to time.
Absolutely. Well, I want to just thank you so much for, first of all, being, open and willing to talk to our podcast and talk to our listeners, as well as being flexible with your schedule with such a short notice. I really do appreciate you. And I won't tell people how we know each other, but we grew up with each other to a degree.
What we say, blah, 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 it's about it.
Exactly. I get it from I ain't gonna say nobody else's name, but
I really appreciate this, Monica, and I want everybody to speak their truth, right? Because there were certain things you asked me, I'm like, hey, I ain't never experienced that, right? So I think if we do not have these conversations, things will continue to go on. So we need people to be open and honest about what they're going through or what they have experienced within their agencies, especially if you have experienced something that is unethical.
Right.
And hey, I'm going to pitch it again. Hey, man, we deal with some real crazy stuff, and you as well, right? You're in the medical field. So the common person won't see somebody stabbed up, right? And they come home, like, you're perfectly fine. Like, find somebody you can like lean on and express yourself. Do not internalize those things because they become poisonous. So I will tell people, if you need help, if you are suffering, please, like.
Yeah, because I definitely think even for police officers just at large, like the medical field, we are a very much controlled environment. Like there's a lot of things that can go wrong at the drop of a dime that are beyond your control. But for the most part, we are a very controlled environment versus you all as police officers, you don't know what the hell you walking into. Somebody could call and say, I got a possum in my drawer. And then you come in and they just start shooting, like we don't live in a life like that. But, I definitely do appreciate your service. I appreciate your sacrifice. I appreciate you, just even spending time and even being who you are to a community of people that may not see that representation. And, I'm really thankful. And I pray for you, every day that God covers you under his blood, that you are protected, that you get home safe every single day. Because it's a real crazy world out here right now.
It really is. But no, thank you for having me. And no, I really was. And I'm just like, hey, man, you talk to people all the time. Just get it out.
Yeah,
okay?
definitely.
And like I said, people have follow-up questions. They can, write you. And once again, everybody, this is my experience. So you may run into some officers like, oh, well, that's not how it goes, but you're not a part of my agency. And certain agencies do things different, right?
Yeah.
So, I have to speak my facts, my truth.
Definitely. Well, thank you so very much again for coming on the Face Off with Fleming and Fowler. We definitely do appreciate your time, your energy, your information, and your education. We definitely appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks, you too. All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed that segment of talking to Officer Kim Possible. We are so appreciative of her time and her energy for coming on our podcast today. We're going to hop into a couple of social media things and then we'll wrap up this episode. Biden has announced that he is going to be withdrawing all of our troops from Afghanistan, hopefully by September the 11th. This year actually marks...
Wow. Nice timing.
Yeah. And he said that he's going to try to get them all out by September 11th.
He's trying to make a statement with that shit.
He is, and he said that he talked to former President Bush as well as former President Obama, and he talked about it with them, and that they agreed it's time. First of all, here's the hypocrisy for me, Bush. Bitch, you the one who sent them there.
I've said this once, and I've said it again. He's my fucking favorite president personality.
Bush.
I love that man, and I love how both these motherfuckers were like, Joe, great plan. We both weren't gonna do it. Too much drama, too much pushback. But for you, we love.
We think it's time.
We love that for you.
Y'all are setting Joe Biden up for failure.
They're probably in a group chat they have a group chat, and then fucking Bush and Obama are texting on their own. They're like, this is gonna be fucking
like
shit
big.
for him.
Let's just watch it. We need to go in the bunker.
It's gonna be wild.
Yeah, I just but here's the thing. I do believe that it is time for us to get out of Afghanistan. This is probably the longest fucking war. I mean, did World War II even last this long?
No one even wanted us there.
No. And you're fighting over oil though. You're literally fighting. Like, here's the thing. You said that Osama bin Laden was the one who orchestrated these attacks, right?
Yeah, I saw Zero Dark 30.
You've killed him. Oh, it's over. Why are we still there? Well, we're going to train them not to kill us again. No, they're going to want to kill you even more because you're invading their country. Like their sleeper cell. This is why ICE. So we've been in Afghanistan and Iraq for 20 years, and here uprises
come
ISIS.
of it? A fucking horrible time at the airport.
But ISIS has grown and just like, hello, we're the new group now. Like you haven't done anything. I mean, I'm not the armed forces. I'm just saying, as far as what was your purpose of staying over there for 20 years? Let's pull our troops home. It's time for these people to come home.
Bring the boys back.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from the right on this issue yet. I'd love to.
They're pissed about it.
I'm sure.
Because even Nancy Pelosi and the only reason why I know this is because, not because I actually did research, it's because my patients love fucking watching CNN. Old ass white people love watching CNN.
They do.
Especially during PT. And so Nancy Pelosi gave like a speech about it and everything like that. There are people who agree with it. There are people who don't because they feel like that we're going to destabilize that particular area and that we're not going to have intel. But I'm like, you're still going to have your intel there. The troops are just not going to be there. Like, just like we have embassies everywhere else and sleeper cells everywhere else. Like, our intel is still going to be there.
I watched Snowden. We're just fucking listening to everyone all the time. Oh,
yeah. Listen, you listening to Americans who ain't about to bomb you. Like, so you got an iPhone, we can hear you. You know, even if you got an Android, we can hear you a little bit.
It's just fucking pixelated.
Yeah. So President Biden said that,
But here's the thing. With all this money we're going to save from bringing these troops home, where are my student loan payments?
I think that's where he's getting the money.
It has to be.
He's like, hey,
I'll support anything I have to get these loans paid off.
Joe Biden is like, listen, I'm going to bring the troops home so that I can pay your student loan debt. Bring them home, Joe.
Bring them home.
Bring them home.
You did it, Joe.
And pay off Sally Mae. Or just take Sally Mae out. Why can't we just get rid of her?
Would you serve a year in the military to have all your loans paid off?
Fuck yeah. Sign me up. Uncle Sam, let's go. Aye, Captain. Is that what you say? Semper Fi. Hoorah. You goddamn right. I sure as hell would. I told you I would spend a week in prison to have my student loans paid off. You got there as long as I can be in solitary confinement, though.
No, what if you're in gym pop?
I don't know. I don't know.
Max security.
Okay, if I get in a fight, does that add time on?
Yeah, it's just regular prison rules. You're in regular prison for.
That's fine. I'm gonna just poop on myself and leave it there for a week.
Just
ain't nobody gonna bother me. Yeah, I'm gonna shit on myself
quickly.
Yeah, no, I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna just stay to myself. The first person come over to me, I'm gonna just shit all over myself.
Listen,
and leave it there.
I know myself very well, and I can tell you, I'm a little bitch. I will cry.
First of all, you gonna go in there. Hey, ladies, what are y'all doing?
Is that the most accurate representation representation of me in prison.
That is absolutely what you're like. Hey, I'm only here for a week. I just like shooting the shit. What are y'all doing? Y'all playing cards? Okay.
I'm down for some craps.
That is literally what you would do.
I would. And then the second someone stepped to me, I'd be like, listen, I don't like confrontation and you're yelling and I'm crying. I'm not upset, but I just cry when people yell at me. Okay, I'm sorry.
And then every other hour you can be, I hate it here. When is my week up?
So this is all y'all do? Seriously? It fucking sucks.
Oh my God. Yeah, that would definitely be you. Hey, what are y'all doing? Hey, all you cool kittens and cats.
All right, I'm not going to jail. I can't.
All right. So next on the docket here. So let's get into some COVID situations. So this week in the news as well, Johnson & Johnson has had a grave recommendation from the CDC to pause their vaccine due to 6 people coming back with a rare blood clot issue. And they've already administered, I think, well over like maybe 1 million or something. I don't know. Anyway, vaccines to people. But yeah, the CDC has paused them being able to give out their vaccine for right now just because of these blood clots. So didn't you say that you wanted to?
It's clatting. Didn't
you want to get Johnson & Johnson ones? Because you like the lotion and stuff?
What you know about me? Yeah, I thought it was going to smell like baby soap.
Yeah. So it's basically just doing it out of precaution.
Here's my thing. They're saying that the way that the clots are manifesting, it probably isn't the right word, but presenting, it's like at the base of the brainstem or in the liver. Yeah. Which is like when you have an allergy to heparin and you get blood clots. Yes. So I'm wondering if these people would also have the heparin allergy, but they haven't been given heparin because
they don't know. So
I wonder if this is just like a natural reaction to shit, or if they're just like forcing too much COVID at one time into people and shit's popping off.
That's what I'm thinking too. Like I think, you know, with this situation that's happening, I think they're trying to do more research on these particular people to see exactly what's in their history that's causing it. But then also too, the only difference between Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and Pfizer is that Johnson & Johnson gives you that 1 dose. So maybe it is that the body just can't tolerate it. But for the other 6.8 million people who have gotten Johnson & Johnson's already, like what, you know.
So what do you do if you got, it's only one vaccine. You just said that. Because I was like, what if you got, okay, so here's my other thing. Do you remember that one time Trump was like, if we keep testing, people will keep coming up positive.
Yeah. So if we keep finding out the blood clots, stop telling us about the blood clots.
If you keep giving people, if you keep increasing the number of vaccines given, you're inevitably going to increase the number of people presenting with blood clots. I think it's just a statistics game at this point. Yeah. Right?
But I think you can't monopolize what other companies are able to get in the game, because even AstraZeneca has been having issues with their vaccine as well too.
Oh yeah, with the clots.
Yeah, they're having issues with the clots. But see, I wonder too, is AstraZeneca like a break off or a branch of Johnson & Johnson?
No idea.
I don't know either, but we're gonna find out. So even
tune in next week on the Face Off.
Oh gosh, I can't. Well, even too, piggybacking off of the COVID situation. Actually, Pfizer, the CEO of Pfizer now says that a 3rd dose of the vaccine will likely be needed within 12 months if you're getting your original vaccine, and also says that the vaccination will possibly be required annually. They're not 100% sure, but he revealed and said that it is a strong possibility, in quotes, that the vaccinations against COVID-19 will be needed every year in order to be continuously protected, which is what we thought anyway to a degree, that it was going to be the new flu shot. And I figured it was going to be the new flu shot.
I did too. Like I did this first one. It's super cute. I want to travel, so I had to get it, but I was thinking about it, and I think I have light skin immunity, and I just don't think I will need this vaccine in the future. Thank you very much.
I can't.
You can replay this at my funeral if something happens, but
I'm not.
That's why I think
I'm not going.
Wow, strong stance.
I'm kidding.
You know how they say like mixed race people have better immunity to things, their immune system is better.
Is that what they say? Really?
Yeah.
No, I'm not being facetious.
Yeah,
I'm being
that
real.
was really fucking sarcastic.
No. Okay. I promise I wasn't being facetious.
Yes, because I'm black and white, as you know. So
wouldn't that make you pretty much like susceptible to everything? You got the osteoporosis and the sickle cell.
But here's the thing. Well, yes, with that shit. But it's like you are immune to the things that black people are usually immune to. Right?
Okay.
And then you're immune to things that white people are usually immune to and don't really have problems with. And it comes together to give you super immunity. My autoimmune system, shit.
I was gonna say you have asthma, so you didn't win on that one.
My body hates itself, but outsiders, we don't fuck with that.
Okay,
it's kind of like a very exclusive group. Like we're gonna shit on each other, but like if anyone else comes to fuck with us,
it's like a cool kids crew.
Yeah. So like I never really actually get flus, colds, anything like that.
You just have bad asthma.
I just have horrible asthma.
And may have to
probable
go on
IBS. May need VV ECMO.
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, no colds and flus and shit like that.
Oh,
and remember, I tried hard as I could to get COVID.
Yeah, you really did.
It just wasn't
your
working.
brother even had it. Was in the house. Like,
but also he had it not a nary a symptom.
Y'all just kept them locked in a fucking dungeon. Don't you come out here for any reason.
Like, I feel fine. Like, don't fucking leave the room.
Don't come out. Next in the news before we get into the social media stuff, Dunkin' Donuts. Ever heard of them?
Oh,
they have now added vegan donuts to their menu. How do you feel about that?
I fuck with vegan donuts.
I don't.
I fuck with Dunkin' Donuts. I like their coffee.
No, we're talking about donuts specifically.
Okay. I like their donut holes. Donuts for me, I'm more of a Shipley's person. That's a Texas thing.
Fucking gross.
Okay.
If you live in Texas, we're going to do another poll. Just like we did
I don't understand how y'all don't fucking like Shipley's, but y'all like Dunkin' Donuts.
We don't have Shipley's in Florida. That's not a thing.
Oh.
You have Krispy Kreme, Dunkin' Donuts. What's another one? That's it? Duck Donuts. You have Duck Donuts, Dunkin', and
Duck Donuts is too cakey. I don't like that.
It depends on what flavor. Yeah,
Dunkin'
they have put
Donuts,
too much shit on there.
Dunkin' Donuts is sometimes hard and too like floury cake dry. I don't like that either.
That's how they're supposed to be.
Krispy Kreme is fucking diabetes.
It'll take your teeth out.
It takes I had to you
it's
pop
fucking
back.
Give you a cavity.
Shipley's has perfected the light and airy but moist and warm cake feeling with a good amount of icing.
Shipley's Donuts is like, they dipped these bitches in water and let them soak up and then threw some glaze on them. And it was like, donuts. That's how they are.
I'll kill you. I'll fucking kill you.
Shipley, tell us in the comments if you prefer
Shipley's is the superior donut.
No, they're fucking trash. Let us know in the comments if you like. We're going to put a poll on our Instagram and on our Facebook. Shipley's Donuts, Dunkin', Krispy Kreme, or Duck Donuts. Those are the only four choices.
Here's the thing. Dunkin' Donuts has a better donut hole, I think, because I can eat it and I feel like I'm eating something substantial. But the Shipley's donut hole is like, it melts in your mouth cotton candy shit. I don't want that.
Shipley's is trash. Their
Shipley's
donuts,
is not trash.
Their donuts always taste like they're like 2 weeks old.
You're hateful. This is hate speech. I'm upset.
Now, Shipley's, if y'all want to sponsor us, I'll eat them fucking donuts up.
Those very kind Asian people make those donuts every morning.
Is that Asian owned?
Yes.
No
I don't know
way.
if it's Asian owned, but all the people who make Shipley's donuts are Asian. Someone tell me in the comments.
I think that's discriminatory.
It's not. They're all.
Is it just a store you go to? You fucking racist.
God damn it. I didn't know we're going to get canceled. I'm waiting till we get fucking canceled.
We're not going to get canceled.
They're great people. They make good donuts and I will support them. Stop Asian hate.
Everybody just be safe this week. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be coming out, especially with this Derek Chauvin result. Oh, Lord Jesus.
I'm rooting for and praying for everyone black.
Yes. And I'm praying that Derek Chauvin is found guilty and is sent away to prison immediately.
Yep.
That's my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Justice.
In Jesus' holy, matchless name, amen.
Because here in this house,
we serve the Lord.
We serve the Lord.
All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in again to another great episode of The Face Off with Fleming and Fowler.
With Fowler and Fleming. Let us know if you like the new name.
It's definitely not going to change. It's already stamped. And also, too, we want to thank our special guest, Officer Kim Possible, a.k.a. Rachel McGillicuddy.
I'm your basic average girl, and I'm here to save the world. You can't stop me because I'm Kim Possible.
Why do you always throw me off with songs? We're trying to end. Anyway, y'all remember this. Don't forget, go straight to www.myapothecary.com. What the fuck?
Oh my God, raise your arms, touch your nose, touch my finger.
Smile, shrug your shoulders.
Having a stroke.
www.myapothecary.com. Y'all gonna need some CBD after this week. I'm just telling
at least
you right
lotion.
now.
Just get your body numb.
Yeah, just drink the bottle.
drink the tincture.
OD on the pills. Just drop the whole pill case in your mouth because you're gonna need it. You're gonna need to be nice and relaxed and less inflamed.
This is not medical advice, but OD.
No, just OD on it. It's good. It's natural. Ain't no THC in it, so you're good. You'll pass your drug test.
Oh my God, y'all go out there, spread love and light, protect yourself, talk to your therapist.
Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of The Face Off with Fleming and Fowler. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at The Face Off Pod. Be sure to tune in to The Face Off every Tuesday where new episodes are released.